Welcome back to our program. I'm your host, Rui Guo, where we'll continue our conversation with Ms. Zhang Shuwa, who is the project manager and also producer here in the international department at Taiwan's public television service. And we were talking to Shuwa just now about the project Spirits of Orchid Island. But after the Orchid Island project, Taiwan's PTS, public television service, was involved in a different internationally, co-produced project. This time, I think PTS tried to bring the treasures from the National Palace Museum and present it to the international audiences who are interested in Chinese arts and artifacts. And this project, of course, was a first ever attempt to do that. And before we ask Shuwa a little bit about the background, about the project, about some of the problems and the experiences that you faced, let's first take a look at the project called Emperor's Treasure Chest. Well, Shuwa, just by looking at the film clip just now, this is a huge project, and this is the first ever attempt to try to present the treasures from our National Palace Museum to the international audience. And also, I've seen from the film clip, this was a joint production with the French Arte, which is also the public television service in France. And can you then share with us some of the background? That, what were some of the reasons, the motivations that led to the creation of this project?
I think we were lucky, and also
in the sense,
in a sense, yeah, a lot of coincidence just turned up,
Okay.
So we have a chance to really meet people from ACTE. Actually, it's in 2007. ACTE, 3 high-ranking officers of ACTE.
Okay.
ACTE is a Franco-German TV station.
Yes.
Public television.
Okay.
And so their focus was, really to bring different kinds of cultures together.
Okay.
To let people, to really appreciate other cultures. That is one of their main focus.
Okay.
And of course, ACTE is very famous.
Yes.
It's kind of like dream partners.
Okay.
they usually do not make their initiation, approach you, actively.
Okay.
But in 2007, it's a period that ACTE really wants to have connections with Asia.
Okay.
So the three high-ranking officers come to Asia. They were in Korea, and then they also passed by Taiwan. And I think we have to say that the French Institute also push a little bit, to have this first encounter between ACTE and PTS. And when ACTE came to Taiwan, we organized related events, like a conference, to introduce, have also panel discussion with them.
Okay.
And also we on our PTS channel, we also have a whole week, ACTE showcase.
Okay. Some of the programs they did?
Yes,
okay.
yes.
But at the time when the ACTE people came, did you already have the idea that you want to do one on the National Palace Museum? Or was the idea still being discussed? Or is something in the background only?
Actually, it was kind of a go without saying,
Okay.
National Palace Museum.
Of course, it's world famous.
It's always a target,
Okay.
All television, station, channels want to film the treasures.
Okay.
Of National Palace Museum. The question was, and is, and still will be, is that the museum will they, give you the authorization to film.
Access, yes.
Yes. So then when ACTE came, it's a very big brand.
Okay.
When they went to visit the directors of ACTE, went to visit the National Palace Museum, he was kind of falling in love with the treasures,
Okay. All right.
So of course, then PTS, really, it's a hidden desire just come up. And everybody think, hey, let's work together.
Okay.
And National Palace Museum, at that time, the director was very pleased with the thoughts.
Okay.
So it was kind of everybody, agreed that we should do something.
Okay.
Actually, even at that time, we signed co-production memorandum with ACTE, in the hope that we can bring a project very soon.
Okay. But you said that you have 40 days to finish the project of the Spirits of Orchid Island. How many days did you have for this project, Emperor's Treasure Chest?
It's totally different because treasures,
Of course.
There's a lot of
that's why the question. How many days was the shooting schedule?
It's kind of absurd. Like we have 2 years of preparation.
Okay.
But
the project started back in 2007, right?
Yeah,
you said you prepared for 2 years.
Yeah.
So the shooting didn't start until 2009?
Yes.
Okay. And how long was the shooting schedule? Half a year?
No. Actually, the real actual filming.
Okay.
Only 5 days.
5 days.
Of course, because
How big was the production crew from France?
Just 2 persons.
Just 2 persons.
Director.
But you had also local
help,
local assistants.
No,
just the 2 of them.
They came from France.
Okay.
Yeah, because this is a totally different kinds of co-production projects.
Okay.
To film artwork.
Okay.
It demanded a huge research work.
Of course.
You have to know all the backgrounds about the collection.
Okay.
But normally when you go to the museum, the lighting, is so dark.
Okay.
They can see nothing. So we really depends on the researchers and the experts provided by the museum to give us the story. It's them that ever touch the collection.
Of course.
The object.
So the project was finished at the end of 2009? Okay, and who holds the majority right for distribution? Is it
we
PTS
got a whole
Taiwan?
rights, and also ACTE too. And we also have a delegate producer, which is Nova Pro Hour.
Okay. All right.
It's a French production house.
Okay.
It's a requirement, to have a delegate producer to obtain the government's fundings from France.
Okay, but let me ask you, how many countries has already shown the documentary?
You mean
Emperor's Treasure Chest? Do you know?
France.
Okay.
Taiwan.
Of course.
And I think Guangzhou
in China. Okay.
We attended the festival.
And
I'm not
it
sure
was produced in
Hong
English,
Kong. Yeah.
English and also Chinese, or is it also in French?
Of course, the original text is in French.
Okay. Finally, for this segment, Shuwa, I'm going to ask you, if you had the chance to do this project over again, what were some of the things that you would have done differently? What were some of the things that you would pay special attention to make sure that production will go smoothly?
To be honest, I would say that actually each project is unique by itself. It could not be repeated or redone again.
Okay.
So, you know, like a first project like Treasures of Emperor's Treasure Chest.
Okay.
You know, the big, you know, it's the international contracts that took us a lot of time and discussion with our partners, with the museum.
But I would imagine, like you said, getting the approval from the National Palace Museum was also a long process.
It's a long process, yes.
Okay. What were the reasons that you were able to convince them?
Just hanging on.
Okay. Persistence or perspiration pays off. Yes. We're going to take another short break on our program. We'll be right back to Taiwan Outlook, and we'll continue our conversation with Ms. Shuwa, who is the project manager and also producer at the International Department here in Taiwan's Public Television Service. I'll see you in about 3 minutes.